Hey, this is Marcus on discipleship, total transformation. Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. Changes in life is a challenge. We are ingrained with certain patterns of behavior, and it is affirmed by the culture and norms of the society that we are part of. If change is hard, then transformation is a bit too much. Paul was transformed by his encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus. He was a hardcore Jewish scholar who literally held to the teachings of the law of Moses. He thought of Jesus to be a heretic and was convinced in his mind to persecute his followers. He was unchanging with his convictions. However, when Jesus met him, he was totally transformed. What is this transformation and how does that happen? Transformation is letting God to change the way we think and act. It is to unlearn what was learned in the society and shed the cultural influence. It is to embrace the principles of Jesus and living by it. It is not easy as it seems. The very first disciple, Peter, had to shed a lot of his cultural influence and the behavior pattern that was affirmed in his life. Acts 10 gives a vivid picture of Peter's transformation. Peter was at Simon the tanner's house, hungry, waiting for food to be served. Meanwhile, he fell into a trance and saw a mat with unclean animals on it and God suggesting him to kill and eat. This vision repeated 3 times. He was a Jew and he could not defile himself with eating unclean animals. The Lord declared to him not to call anything unclean that was created by God. Before he was fully convinced, God brought people from Cornelius' house at the door, waiting to invite him to their master's place. What Peter encountered at Cornelius the Gentile centurion's house shook his foundational belief system that Jesus was meant for the Jews. Peter witnessed the outpouring of the Spirit on the Gentiles. He was almost transformed, not completely yet, since he behaved differently when the leaders from Jerusalem arrived. Paul had to challenge his hypocrisy. The Lord's encounter with the vision and godly man's warning straightened Peter. He was totally transformed. No more distinction. Everyone was made by God, for God, to know God. The question for us is, are we fully transformed yet? Or do we have a string of cultural influence that makes us stumble in our walk with Christ? Let us be careful to let God change the way we think. Be a disciple and make disciples. Amen.